so you both appreciate your time. Another interesting coalition party room there in Canberra this morning. I was just chatting with Darren Chester earlier and he seemed to agree with Josh Frydenberg that some of his Nats colleagues deserved a bit of a rap over the knuckles for distracting so much yesterday from the Indonesian president's visit, which should have been a good news story with all of the drama surrounding the election of the Deputy Speaker. Rosie, what's your intel as to how all of that went down in the coalition party room this morning?
Yeah, I think Josh Frydenberg has come out pretty strongly, using a phrase from John Howard, who they often call upon in times of trouble in the Liberal Party, reminding everyone that they're a very broad church and making a bit of a joke along the way, saying that they may have to add a few extra pews. Look, I think the Libs are pretty angry, obviously, that the turmoil within the Nationals is affecting the coalition. It's affecting the government in Parliament, as we saw when Scott Morrison and Michael McCormack had their embarrassing defeat yesterday, and Labor's pick for Deputy Speaker in Llew O'Brien got chosen over their own. So I think there's a little bit of soul-searching going on this week, and they're going to have to reset. As to how they do that, well, only the coming days will tell us.
And Claire, that frustration is really, you can understand it, can't you? I mean, it really has just been such a messy start to the parliamentary year for the government.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the real sting in the tail for Morrison is not just that he's got a somewhat rogue element now in Llew O'Brien, but that by the numbers of the vote yesterday that installed him as Deputy Speaker, we're estimating at least 5 people in the coalition voted against what was Michael McCormack's and Scott Morrison's pick for the job. So it's not just the case of one lone rogue element. There's obviously enough discontent there that several members of the party and the coalition have decided that they're not happy with the way things are being run at the moment.
Rosie, where to now for the Nationals, do you think?
It's interesting because Michael McCormack isn't really giving a clear message on what he's going to do differently, if he's ever even going to do anything differently. I spoke to Michael on Friday and he had this great quote where he said, well, actually, a lot of people in regional Australia like me. Okay, well, that's all well and good, but what about how you're leading the party? There's no doubt that there's this sort of rump within the party. You can call them Joyce backers, whatever you like, but it's a party of only 20 members and senators now, and many of them feel that Michael McCormack is really only leading to half the party, or maybe just over half the party, and obviously there's this big concern that he's only been promoting his supporters. So I think we need to get some sort of a signal from Michael McCormack now. Sure, Darren Chester is right to point out that he has been elected the Nationals leader, I think he says three times in the last 2 years. He is the leader. His leadership was under fire last week. So what's he going to do differently? And how is he going to bring people like Barnaby Joyce, like Matt Canavan? I mean, Llew O'Brien's out of the tent. How is he going to try and get Llew O'Brien back in? We don't yet have that clear messaging from Michael McCormack.
Rosie Lewis, Claire Armstrong, thank you for your input. I'm sorry, I do need to cut this panel chat short. We have been very much crunched for time with that coronavirus news conference at the start of the program, but we do appreciate your insights. Thank you so much for joining us. Look forward to getting you both back another time for another chat.